It's 188 days until Christmas 2020, and we have a lot of Star Wars news to talk about. So I've been busy this week. I haven't been able to get online and talk about stories as they've come about. So I wanted to get on today and just kind of go through everything that I could think of. And so hopefully we covered the topics that you're interested in. I'll cover some that I'm aware of. If you come into the chat, let me know you're here. And let me know if there's something that you're aware of that you'd like to talk about, and we'll bring it up in the discussion as well. But to start off, I wanted to start off kind of on a really, really positive note. I've been reading Star Wars novels primarily through audiobooks, and I use the Public Libraries app to do that with. But I've been reading novels through audiobooks for some time. Hello, Trinity. Hi, Second Street Marvel. Thanks for stopping in. So this past week, I listened to a novel. Let me bring it up here so you guys can see. It's Cobalt Squadron. Cobalt Squadron by Elizabeth Wein. I'd kind of put this one off. Wasn't really all that interested in learning more of Rose Tico's background, this side story. I didn't know if it would connect into the primary trilogy, the sequel trilogy. I didn't know if it would be worth listening to, but I'd kind of gone through a long list of books. This came up on my search list, and I listened to it, and let me tell you, this is a fantastic book. Far exceeded my expectations in every way. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's got a good bit of adventure. So part of it, we kind of know the outcome because we see Rose and her sister in The Last Jedi. Of course, they're at the beginning. So with some of the suspense in this story is kind of contained because we know sort of where that's going to end up. But the story as a whole has consequences. It's got a fantastic character development. We learn a lot more about Rose and her sister. The amount of detail involved in the ships that they fly. This author, Elizabeth Wein, just did a phenomenal job of creating a Star Wars story that ties into the universe, ties into the sequel trilogy, develops the characters, has a fantastic storyline, and there are consequences that matter. So I highly recommend it if you can pick it up. And just on a whim, I reached out to the author, Elizabeth, and asked her if she'd be willing to come on and talk to me about her writing process. How did she come up with the story? What was the process like? And what's her background that contributed to this fantastic book? So I heard back from Elizabeth today. She's checking with the publicist to make sure that all is fine and good. And she has told me that she would love to come on and talk to me about it. So hopefully we'll get an author here. We'll talk to her, and we'll share that with you soon. So that's exciting for me. Kind of a great way to end off the week, and I'm happy that we'll be getting another guest. Dale, good evening, Dale. Thanks for stopping in. And so I just gave a brief review of Cobalt Squadron, and hoping that here soon we're going to be talking with Elizabeth Wein, the author, in a live stream or in a recorded YouTube video. So look for that to be coming soon. We're hoping to get that set up. So kind of get back to some other topics. There's so much to talk about. Earlier this week, I came upon some videos. Captain Pennsylvania. Hello, friend. Bill's Nation represented. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping. So very good, Dale. We'll catch you on the replay too. Thanks. Earlier this week, the Fandom Menace, specifically Jeremy on Geeks and Gamers, came up with a story. He was interviewing one of his regulars, and that regular said that he has a friend who knows George Lucas personally. This friend of his that he was interviewing had told him that George Lucas hated The Last Jedi. We already knew that he disliked the Force Awakens, and he kind of walked that back. But he actually hated The Last Jedi, and he is dismayed at where Lucasfilm has taken the franchise, and he's not at all happy. So that story came out, and tied into that story was also that John Favreau is in that same boat. That he hated The Last Jedi, and that he was kind of distraught about where the franchise had gone, and he wanted to do something about it. So here he is to rescue the day. So I don't put a lot of stock in that kind of thing. That somebody I heard, somebody that I know knows somebody who knew, who good friends with somebody who, all of that doesn't really land well. Until you hear it from the person themselves, anybody can say anything. But that's not to say that maybe he didn't. So I just thought I would bring up and ask, does it matter? Does it matter if George Lucas loves The Last Jedi or hates The Last Jedi? Does it matter if George Lucas is supporting or not supporting? Yeah, I hear you, Trinity. I hear you. Why am I watching that stuff? It comes up in my YouTube feed because I watch so much Star Wars stuff, and sometimes curiosity gets the better of me. And so I started thinking about this story, and I was thinking, well, how much does it matter? And do I really care that George Lucas loves or hates The Last Jedi? And I suppose that it works to validate your feelings, or not. For me, I love The Last Jedi. I love the sequel trilogy. I'm very happy with where Lucasfilm is headed. I think they've made some missteps for sure. Not denying that in any way, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that George Lucas did that I've been very vocal about that I disliked. And do I need George Lucas to endorse a movie for me to be able to enjoy it? And if you find out that George Lucas doesn't like something you do like, does that mean now you can't like it? Does it mean that it has any kind of impact on how you may enjoy a movie? And for me, the answer to that is no. It absolutely does not. It doesn't matter to me. I'm interested because, of course, George Lucas created Star Wars, the franchise we love so much. George Lucas did so much for technology, for the movie industry, for just revolutionizing things and putting a franchise in place that has stood the test of time. So, sure, he has some weight, some bearing. And for those who absolutely hate The Last Jedi, who then can look at George Lucas and say, well, see, he doesn't like it either. If that helps you sleep at night and you feel better about yourself, then I suppose that's fine. But I would also take that with a grain of salt, because it's just as likely that story doesn't hold any water. And if it does hold water, maybe a teaspoon, and it may not be enough to go swimming in. And you may be counting on it for your happiness. And if George Lucas's opinion about a movie is where your happiness resides, then be careful. Be careful, because this is third-hand stuff. So just maybe take it with a grain of salt, and be happy. Enjoy your life. There's too much out here to be happy about. There's too much out there to be angry about, to let Star Wars have a big impact, or somebody's opinion about Star Wars have a big impact on yourself. So I just encourage you to kind of calm down. Outside of that, what about John Favreau? If John Favreau hates it, well, John Favreau has done a fantastic job with Dave Filoni. If you've been watching The Gallery, it is refreshing, and so it kind of ties me into the next topic about Dave Filoni maybe taking over for Disney's live action works. And Josh Lucas did a stream this afternoon or he did a video this afternoon on Den of Nerds. If you're not subscribed there, you should be. The Den of Nerds is fantastic, and we have a great community there. Trinity, 2nd Street Marvel, Captain Pennsylvania Dale. We're all part of that community, and every day there's a live stream on Den of Nerds Live. You should subscribe to that as well, and we have a lot of fun talking about topics. But Den of Nerds on his main channel this afternoon talked a little bit about the speculation of Dave Filoni taking over all these live action series, and that John Favreau, Dave Filoni, and we also may get another big director involved in leading Lucasfilm after 2021. And that and I've thought for some time, if you've been watching The Gallery and you see how that's going, then you can easily see how that Favreau is in charge. He is the guy leading the conversations. He's the guy who's working, bringing in the talent. He keeps talking about his previous experiences, and when they built this new set that they use. And by the way, that's another piece of news that came out. We had this week an update on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that they're going to be using the volume, which is what they call that set. It's got a 360-degree kind of projection, LED projection, the scenes on there, as well as the ceiling from the inside. And then they use game engine technology with the cameras as they pan around, so that they can alter and adjust and rotate as they go, and the game engine helps keep the scenery where it should be in relative position. It's fantastic technology, and this is how they've cut the cost down on The Mandalorian, and we see that they're going to use the same thing on the Obi-Wan series, and that is only going to get better. That's only going to continue to improve. Fanjecture, Adam, hello, good afternoon, good evening. So is Filoni taking over all this live action? They're going to be coming out of the rumored and pretty much confirmed Finding Ezra Bridger animated series that we'll be getting this fall, early winter. Will we then get live action of all those characters? And there's been so much confirmation, and we've talked about it before, of the live action Ahsoka and all of the other characters have pretty much been cast and shared with us. The only one we haven't heard and confirmed really key part of that, it would be Thrawn, Methandril. So he hasn't been confirmed, but we did get rumored that he was being cast. So Filoni would be bringing his characters that he's done in these animated series to the screen in live action. So it does look like that he's going to be heavily involved in all of those live action. I would suspect that we'll see John Favreau also heavily involved in that, much the way they are with The Mandalorian. And then that leads to this other thing that Josh has tried to sell us on for some time, for the Den of Nerds, the Star Wars MCU. He keeps saying this phrase, Star Wars MCU, and I see people struggle with it. It comes up from time to time. Other people have kind of tried to explain that Star Wars is going to create a like an MCU like universe. And I think I heard even on John, I just lost his name, show earlier today, where he was talking about how the Marvel MCU series, so Jessica Jones and all of those series, they had individual shows, and then that build up into the Defenders series. So that it might follow that same type of world building, where you end up with multiple shows that are interconnected because they live in the same universe. And we saw that with those Netflix Marvel shows. So the Netflix Marvel series very much is a thing to keep in mind when you start seeing this Star Wars universe on Disney Plus having multiple shows that will have some, Campia. Thanks Adam. Yeah, I think Campia put it in those terms. And then, of course, Josh keeps referring to. I can't stand her show. She tried to explain it sort of like having a Game of Thrones type feel about it. And so you just see where different people are trying to come up with how to explain what Disney Plus is doing. And I think the easiest way to explain it is somewhat like the Netflix Marvel, but it's simply the new, wait for it, the new Star Wars extended universe. That's it. It is what it is. It is the new Star Wars extended universe. We don't need to confuse people by calling it the MCU or the Game of Thrones, because people start to hear, oh, you're going to have a streaming series like Game of Thrones. Is it going to be like TVMA? No. We're not going to get Star Wars that's TVMA anytime soon, or I think anytime period. That's just not happening. So it's not Game of Thrones from that perspective. It's more of, if you have to have that example, it's more like the Netflix Marvel series. Adam, what do you say? Josh, a bit more after watching last Disney Gallery. Mandalorian between all three trilogies and the games, the animated shows. Yeah. I can't wait to see the gallery in the morning. I think it's the last one. The last episode that I watched was on the music. And the dude that was composing the music and how he came about it, it was fascinating. And you guys may not know, when I graduated high school, I had a full tuition scholarship in music ed to college. I went to school for music education, and then I joined the United States Army Band, and I played in the United States Army Band for several years. Played under George W. Bush Senior, George Bush Senior, and Vice President Quayle when I was in active duty and through the first Gulf War. So I was in the military bands at that time. So I have a music background. That's where I started my career when I got out of high school. And that episode was fantastic. It was fantastic. Very good. Oh, there's another. Okay, well, Adam, you've kind of whet my thirst, so I'm excited to see this next episode of the gallery. So I think we're going to follow very much like the Netflix Marvel series, and it's going to be the new Star Wars extended universe on Disney Plus, and that's something to look forward to. So it's not a Game of Thrones like series in the sense that it's MA. All right, TVMA. We're not going to get any kind of that kind of stuff, and it shouldn't be confused with MCU, because that has a meaning. It's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not even that. But if you look at the Netflix Marvel series, they didn't even tie in strongly with the MCU. So there was a loose, but it wasn't really interwoven, and they never really went into that. It could have tied in, but it also may not. And I think these are going to be much more tightly connected to the extended universe. And so while they're more like the Netflix Marvel, it's not even that. It's more. So that's that part. The Game of Thrones or the MCU. The next is and Josh's video this afternoon was specifically, is the 2022 movie canceled? And yesterday John Campia talked about it. He said that he doesn't think it's canceled. The rumors are out there that it's been canceled. Look, I don't see why they would make it, and I agree with Josh on this more. And we've been talking about it in Adam's show in the morning. By the way, if you're not subscribed there, you should be. In morning, every morning, I look forward to 9 a.m. joining Adam and Fanjaxer with the Morning Brew and talking about movie news and entertainment. And and we've been talking about this as it goes. If you've watched the gallery and you've seen that volume and you've seen just that first generation, you can see what it can already do. By the time we get to 2022, there will be improvements and beyond. And right now, with the state of things, the movie industry is a little bit in turmoil. Dates keep getting pushed. Adam still has a poll out there. When are they going to push Mulan again? I think that was the question you had. When are they going to push it again? Right now it's scheduled in July. Are they going to actually hold it or not? They say they will, but will they? And when you have studios that have their own streaming service that can get people to subscribe, then if they can get the production costs down and keep the quality up. So we saw already with The Mandalorian a good step that way. Is The Mandalorian full-blown movie production quality? Not really, right? But it's close. It is really, really good. Really good. And that's just first generation. We'll see improvements as they learn and improve and they upgrade and they get better technology. That's going to continue to get better and better. And already, if you look at the production budget for The Mandalorian over the 2 seasons, you're approaching a full-blown movie production budget, and it's actually larger than some. So I very much think that we're going to see studios move more this direction as they create better content, higher quality content that is closer to movie production value. And I brought it up in the chat with Adam, I think yesterday. The Today Show was doing a series on the movie industry. AMC theaters are going to reopen, Cinemark's reopening, they've got these new plans. So they were doing that, and they had done a poll. And in that poll, 70% of the respondents in the poll said that they would prefer to watch new movie releases through a streaming service. 70%. If 70% of the people would prefer to watch it that way, and I saw something else that said, hey, people today, many of the younger generation are perfectly happy to watch it on this type of device. So if people are moving to watching streaming and that's their preferred method, and if they can get their production values down, costs down, they can get the quality up, then why wouldn't they cancel the 2022, move that into a streaming platform, and perhaps create it as a series, and just put that on hold until we see what happens? Why would you throw money into a production budget for a movie that's going to perhaps face continued delays as the C-19 thing continues on, and as that continues to roll every winter until they get enough people with immune systems or the treatment improved on that? That's going to continue to struggle and hamper the movie industry as they try to create these big budget production films for theater release. And if 70% of the people would rather see it on streaming anyway, would rather see it released that way, and we see now with the studios coming up with their strategies for opening, and again, Adam did a good job talking about it this morning. AMC theaters and Cinemark have come up with plans, and in the story that the Today Show did on NBC, they said they may only fill the stadiums or the seating in theaters at 25 to 30%. If 70% of the people would rather watch it at home, and if the theaters can only seat 30% of the people that they currently seat, well, where's the money? Where's the payback? Everybody's thinking in the way that it was. Trinity Evolved, it included in that. Trinity it thinks, hey, things are going to go back to normal. Just calm down. It'll be all right. If people want to go watch their big budget movies in a big theater on the big screen with the big sound system and the big crowd, and they want to share that experience together. Trinity, I agree with you. But if 70% of the people would prefer to watch it on a streaming service at home, right? I mean, what are you going to do? Mike Porter. Good evening, Mike. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. So, I don't know. I really don't know that it makes sense for studios, especially Disney, when they have their own streaming platform, Lucasfilm, and as well as Marvel, that they're going to be going down this route of big budget movie releases indefinitely. I truly think that that's going to be a narrowing, and we're going to see less and less. And somebody brought up this morning, well, how do these streaming platforms make money? Well, even Disney Plus, it's $7 a month. You just do the math, and you see with 100 million subscribers, that'd be just $700 million a month in revenue. Now there's expenses involved, right? There's lots of costs involved, and there's the hosting of the platform and so on and so forth. But as they start bringing that in-house and they're doing it themselves, HBO is doing it now. Warner Brothers is being brought into that with the DC universe. We've got they're investing tons of money into the Snyder release of Justice League, and they're putting just an unbelievable amount of money to finish something that's supposedly finished. But anyhow, that Snyder release, they're going to be doing that. So HBO and Warner Brothers has that. We have Disney has their own, and then we also have Universal is going to have the Peacock network here soon. So a lot going on in that space. Mike, only 21 seats were available in a 60-seat theater. There you go. That's right there at that 30% mark. Thanks, Adam. Release the Santa cut. Yeah. So very funny. I just don't know that the movie theaters are going to survive that way. Much going on, and I found it interesting this morning on Adam's show. We're still having a hard time believing it, but it's the numbers that AMC said. They said that they were opening only 450 of their approximately 1,000 theaters, and in those 450, so about 45%, thereabouts. Because I don't think it's exactly 1,000 theaters. Somebody had to correct me. I think they're slightly over 1,000 worldwide. Of the 400 or nationwide, right? That was U.S. based. Correct me if I'm wrong, Adam. I think that was 1,000 seaters in North America. But of those 1,000, they're only opening 450. Those 450, 45%, account for, as AMC says, 90% of their ticket sales. So the 55% that are not opening, they only account for 10% of AMC's overall ticket sales. That's just an unreal amount. And if you are one of those that 55% that are sharing 10% of the total, then you've got a very thin margin. You're not selling tons and tons of tickets. And so your slice of that 10% is a small percentage, right? Very, very small slice. And your slice is now going to get cut down, say 30% of that. How do you stay in business? How do you keep your franchise open? And as a franchise owner, how do you warrant your investment in a theater franchise when you can't return a profit, or your profit margin is so slim that you're making the same amount as the guy popping the popcorn, right? It's just not. It doesn't make financial sense. So, the 2022 movie, is it canceled? I tend to agree with Josh. I don't think that it's going to make it. I don't think that it makes sense for Disney to make it. And I think it makes more sense for them to turn it into a streaming series, a limited series of 6, especially if they keep doing these 35, 40-minute shows instead of 1-hour shows. How easy would it be to just transform that into a slightly longer format and break it into a 6-part mini series? So that's where my head is on it. Yeah, I think we've talked about it. Adam, Mike, Trinity, we've talked about the topic. It doesn't compute, right? Business-wise, I don't think it will last. And I know, Adam, you've talked about it maybe being more like going to the theater for a musical or a play, and it kind of being like a Broadway or off-Broadway traveling show. I think you might start to see movies in more of that kind of format, where that space is no longer warranted for a theater chain to be able to return revenue. And if you're going to go to that movie, I'll guarantee you that it's going to cost you more than $15 a seat. I'll guarantee you it's going to cost you more than $15 a seat. There's no way that it doesn't cost more than that. And the number of movies available to watch in those theaters, if you go to a Cineplex and it's got 30 screens, or it's got 15 screens, and they're only able to, on one of these great big blockbuster movies, they can only seat 30%, then they've got to make room for more people. And they're doing this staggered seating. They're trying to, bring them in for the same number of ticket sales. If they're going to return $1 billion in ticket sales, they're going to have to show in 3 times as many venues. How are they going to do that and keep anything else playing there? On these big weekends, there's only going to be maybe one movie playing in that theater house that's got, 30 screens. Because they've got to rotate those movies. It's got to be playing in all of them. You're not going to have, 8 movies, 12 movies to pick from. You're going to have one. And that ticket's going to be more than $15. No question. Yeah. So we'll see. I think we're pretty much in agreement. That's the Star Wars news of this week. We've got a lot going on, and I think, and I wish I was able to stay more current with it this week. I was trying to keep up with work and things, but it's great to see you guys here. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I'm still working on a couple of collaboration pieces. I shared at the beginning of the stream that I'm talking with the author of Cobalt Squadron, the Star Wars novel. And we hope to have her on, and we're going to talk together. I'm also been in talk with Lord Callis, and get some talk about the extended universe. Continue to work with a magic maker in reimagining Star Wars as we're exploring the Young Jedi Knight series. So thanks so much for being here, folks. I'm not going to keep you much longer. It's 8:35 Eastern time. I appreciate seeing you all here. I appreciate your support. And if you could do the YouTube things, I would appreciate it. That'd be great. Try to get more folks aware of the channel, and we'll keep trying to put out some positive Star Wars news that's also honest. And if things aren't where they should be, I'm not afraid to say that. I was part of the Gray Order when that kicked off. I still am a member of that. Still active participation in that, and that was the whole idea behind it when it started. Now it's still a community, but we try to bring some fair, balanced discussion about things. And if George Lucas hates the sequel trilogy, then I'm not going to say that he doesn't. But I'm also just not going to say, yeah, he hates it because some dude said so. I'll need to hear something more substantial. So, again, thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'll try to get more content out in the future, and look forward to seeing you guys. Have a great weekend, folks. And until